We're working on device 2 now. We're going to do some modeling, and we're going to model this section. I think it's probably just going to be the modeling, or most of the modeling. I might leave that out for this video, and we'll come back to that and the texturing in the next video. But we've got some knobs and dials to do, and some buttons and stuff like that, so it's relatively easy stuff to do. So here we go. So here's Blender, and I've brought in that so I can go back and forth between that. And we're going to get started here now. So I think the way I'm going to do this is, as usual, I'm going to bring in a plane and rotate X90. I'm looking from the front, and scale it up just a little bit. I'm going to scale it in the X, and it's a nice long interface like that. Let me just look at this. Something like that. Okay, I'll probably actually go back and forth between this one. So I'm going to round the corners just a little bit, give it a little bit of depth, and then we'll try to place these things as best we can. So I've got the edges selected there, but I think I'm going to go ahead and extrude back, and I'm going to get rid of that back face. And I'm going to select these edges, and again, it is a destructive workflow. I prefer that actually to the bevel modifier quite a bit. I might go against some conventional wisdom, but this is the way that I like to do it. It seems to work for me. So Control B to bevel, pull 1, 2, 3, and we'll do the same up here. Pull, just have a bunch of edges in there. All right, so that thing, right? And then we need a nice rounded plane right in the middle in that thing. So let's do that. Let's bring in another plane. Rotate X90. Pull it out a little bit, look from the front, and just try to get, so I want some space here. I'm going to have some knobs there. I'm going to have some toggle switches below, so that looks like it's about right. And if I scale it in the X, I just need room for some knobs there and some buttons there. Just a little bit more. Let's do that. And press 1. And actually, maybe I'll go ahead and give it some depth now. Get rid of that back face. Let's come over here and look at sort of the thickness. Not very thick. All right, so that's probably okay like that. Just pushing that in. Let's grab these edges now and do the same thing. I think this is a little bit more rounded than the main body. Yeah, it looks more rounded than these corners are. So let's do that. Something like that, and we'll round this top off. I'm sticking with 5 vertices for even the top. Sometimes I go down to 3. Let's double check this. Everything's flipped. All right, there we go. Back in business, as they say. So we've got that. Now this piece here looks kind of like it's just rounded, right? So why don't we maybe bring in another plane, and see how big that is. It really comes close to the top and the bottom, kind of like that, and then out like this. How far out? Something like that, anyhow. Alright, so how about we just throw in a bunch of edge loops, but just making sure I get one in the middle. I'll go one more. Maybe take that one, turn on proportional editing, and pull. Just have a pretty wide thing, and do something like that. I don't know how rounded it is, but let's go with that at first, and then take that edge. Actually, let's take, no, we'll take all edges and extrude them back without proportional editing on though. And I will straighten them out by pressing SY0. Let's take that and push it in and see if it's the approximate size that we want. I'm going to shade smooth that, but we'll deal with that in a bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to round the corners first. Do these vertical ones. Just double check that that's... Yeah, I mean, they are rounded and then pushed in. Let's see how nice this works out for us, if this is what we want. And then I'm going to come and get all of the top. And let's see. Oh, I don't know. Let's just do a nice big one like that. And then maybe I'll take this and push it in a bit further. So, I mean, hopefully that kind of resembles that thing. Okay. Are we facing the right way? Yes, we are. Okay. So let's do something, the easy thing, using a circle and 16 vertices. Pull that out. And those are going to go in the corner. I believe they're relatively large. They are. So something like that. And we'll extrude back, get rid of the back face, and bevel that nicely. Shade smooth, and then I'll make sure my polys are facing the right way. 3D cursor's right in the middle, so I can mirror those. Mirror them in the X and mirror them in the Z. So we have our bolts. And it's going to be time to move on to some of the knobs and dials. I'm just going to push that in a bit more. Okay, let's do the easy ones. Let's just do these. And I think to do that, I will take one of these, or a piece of it, and then we'll build from there. Shift D, pull that out, P to break it out, and I'll get rid of the mirror. No, not yet. There, I'll get rid of the mirror on that. And let's see where these guys go. It almost looks like it's on top of this edge, but then this one doesn't, so I think it's just whatever we want to do. Okay, so for this, in my opinion, it is simply something like that with a bevel on it. Not too exciting. I'll just come and I'll just give one. That's okay. That's just going to be a black knob on there. How tall though? I don't know. Maybe even smaller than that. Put one in the middle there. And another one. So they're, yeah, a little bit below the bolt. Below the bolt line. Like that. Maybe a little bit more down. Okay, let's do the buttons because they're straightforward as well. We've got 3, 1, and 3. And the distance between them looks pretty constant, so we can do that. I'm saving the fun bolt for later. Sorry, the fun knob. Start with that. I'm going to bevel it by hand. Manually, whatever you call that. Let's turn on the cavity shader. Okay. kind of at the edge of the bolts, let's say. And down a little ways of the screen, I think a little bit smaller. Let's go ahead and start arraying this, giving a little bit of distance in between. And there's 3 of them, and then 1, and then a space and 3. And they sort of are mid of this, you know, screen part there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate that down, just like that. And then I'm going to duplicate it down again and leave a little bit more space. And I think I'll come in, select them all, go into individual origins and scale. And probably have to work on this again now that I think about it. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. So, all right, let's try again. Let's take those and Shift D. And then Shift D again with a bit more space, like that. And yeah, that's all right. Okay, so what do we need? We need 3, 1, and 3. So I'm going to apply this array and this one. I'm going to apply all the arrays anyhow. Come in here, select a bit, Control L to select everything, X vertices. So I will have that. And if I want to, I can move this one up or whatever to have the rows of buttons. Like that. Let's double check everybody. Yeah. I had a feeling about those guys. All right, good stuff. Okay, I can live with that so far. Let's go on and do the toggle switches. And because I can't see them that well, it kind of leaves me to do what I want to do. All right, so I will take, I think, a piece of one of these. Shift D and G, pull it down. P to break it out. And on this, I will get rid of the mirror. And just start with that, because it's 16 vertices. And that's what I'm going to be going for anyhow. All right, so I'm going to be making 3 of these. And yeah, so let's just do this. Make it nice and big. I'm going to just focus on that with the slash key. And that's what I've got there, eh? Okay, so let's extrude out. And then let's come in and extrude up. And come in. And then we'll come down for a hole. We'll get rid of the back face. We'll make sure the polys are facing the right way. Maybe we'll take this edge and do that kind of thing. Okay, but we're going to bevel all these edges anyhow. I'm going to inset that. And do I need one more there? What I'll do also, I think, is select this edge and extrude it back, and then bring another edge just to sharpen that up, just to give a little bit more. Now, I probably would want to put Control 1 or 1 subdivision on there, just to look a little nicer. The only thing is, I think that hole is a bit too big. So I'm going to select Control plus, keep coming out until I get to about there. Then I'm going to scale it, but not in the Y. Scale Shift Y. Make that a smaller hole. And you know what I mean? How many? Geez, I got a lot of edges in there, don't I? You're probably saying, hey, you got so many edges. Let's scale that in. I just want to scale that and make it more of a slope. And then I'll bring an edge down here. And then I'll bring an edge in there. Just tighten that up. Just give it more of that kind of a shape. Okay. Now I'm going to select that interface and bring the 3D cursor there. And now I'm going to bring in, I mean, you can do this with a cylinder. I mean, that's fine. Yeah, okay, let's do it with a cylinder and just 16 vertices. leave it closed, and then rotate X 90 and just get it in, you know, the size there. And let's come back and just focus on those. I'm not going to need the back. It might have been a better idea to use a UV sphere. Let's see how well this works. Let's take that and bevel it quite nicely. Essentially, it becomes almost a UV sphere. And oh, that's in there, eh? Okay. There we go. I'm going to scale that in the Y a little bit and pull it under. And then I'll look from the front. Let me just scale again, just so it is kind of fitting the hole, but there's a little bit of a gap there. I could shade smooth that. And yeah, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build the toggle switch off of that. And I might bevel this edge a little bit differently. So I'm going to come out like that, and I'm going to scale like that, and then I'm going to extrude one more time. Now I'm going to bevel back. I don't want a lot of segments, so it's nice and round. So it'll end up looking like that. And I think what I'll do is I'll come down here. I'm going to bring an edge loop down here. And to make it a bit more interesting, I may put an edge loop here and select everything by selecting this face and then Control plus all the way down to here. And then just looking at an angle where I can see it, E and Alt S, and pull it out as if that's the coating on top of it. Often it's like a plastic coating. Control B, I'm going to bevel, but I just need 3. Just like that. And I'll bring one more edge loop up there to help with the shading of that. And then I think I will do something on the end here. Let's Control plus. Let's, how much should we come out? Maybe just that. I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to extrude in. And then extrude out and put a face. And then I'll bevel this edge. And then we can color that differently in Substance Painter. So that's what I get in the higher poly base and the lower poly, that part. Let me just think here. And let's see. If I GG, edge slide that a bit, and bring that in a bit. And that's not going to be noticeable, so don't worry about it. It's a bit stubby, but let's go back and see how she looks. Let's compare it to these ones. I might want to lengthen that a little bit. So I think what I'll do is look from the side and box select that and just pull it out. And no, that's not going to work. Do I want to do this maybe? I might do that. You know what? I'm going to apply that. Control A. And that is got just that. So I'm just going to join those together. And I'll make sure anything's merged. Why would there be anything there? And let's see. Where do those go? Right in the middle. Okay, cool. So let's go there and add an array. Pull this one to the middle of the Z line there. Add one more, and is that enough space? You know, I think this could come out a little bit. And then I'll just move these. There. It doesn't have to be so tight. So they're not the same as these, but you know, so it looks better. All right, there's only one more part to do, and that is a fun one, I think. So let's do this. Let's bring in a circle that's 16 vertices. Let's focus just on the circle. I'll do it from here. I'm going to go into edit mode and press 1. So I've got my vertices. I'm going to choose check or deselect. So only every other one is selected. Scale in, not too much. I don't want to create a star. I'm going to create a knob that's got these parts ribbed sort of on the outside. So I don't want to come in too much, but with those ones selected, I'm going to bevel them a bit. I'm going to press Shift Control B. I'm going to pull, and I just want 3 vertices, just something like that. So now it's looking like like a funny star. Okay, now I'm going to come back out to these ones. And I'm going to Shift Control B to bevel, and I'm going to pull. But I think the way I could do it like that, but it becomes very soft. I'm going to do a double like that. Am I going to do it that way? And then come back. Let's just do let's do 3, but not too deep. Do something like that. We'll try. It's a little bit trial and error. Now, while I'm with you here, I'm going to take these 3 and I'm going to pull them out further like a pointer on this knob, like that. All right, we'll give this a try. Okay, I'm going to select everything there. I just switched to edge selection for some reason. I'm going to, yeah, I'm going to extrude up. I'm going to look from a side sort of view, which happens to be front for me right now. I'm going to pull it up, and then I'm going to scale in just a little bit, not too much. You could use the taper modifier if you prefer for this. And then what I'm going to do is press E and S and come in. And then I'm going to right click and choose Loop Tool Circle. I'm going to pull it in and then extrude down. Extrude in just a little bit and then F to make a face. I'm going to do a similar thing on the bottom, although you would never see this, but E and S, come in, Loop Tool Circle, sorry, and I'm going to pull in further, and this is where the post would come into the knob. And I'm going to extrude up, like so there's a hole there. Now let's bevel that. Now, it looks a little funny, so before we do that, select everything, Alt-N, recalculate outside. Some of the polys were flipped. Control-B, bevel it, like that. Let's come up to the top. Let's bevel here. Control-B. Nice bevel. I'm going to put a different color in there when we do texturing. Shift-Alt and click that edge. And let's do the bottom at the same time. And just watch this. So there's no crossing over. Control-B. Pull. Get a nice bevel. We'll shade smooth for the moment. And this is what we're getting. Yeah. Alright, so let's take this. I'm going to scale that in the Z a bit flatter. We'll do some other stuff in a bit. Well, okay, let's do this now. I'm going to bring in an edge loop. I might pull one under there. See how much I need that. Or let's scale it out. Let's see if I need it there. Let me redo that. Just to see if it needs to tighten that up a little bit. And you're never going to notice this. I could try putting one in and seeing if it clears it up, and it pretty much did. Now that's not exactly how I wanted to do this knob. That's one way you could do it, and I probably would end up sticking with that. So for now, let's do that, and then let's come down here and let's see. Maybe I might want to bring in my own other circle though. So I think I'm going to, let's go back and let's take that, rotate X90, just slide it over for the moment and have a look at this. I may do the other knob and decide if I like that, because this one's looking a little bit sharp to me. So I think I'm going to show you the other one as well. I sort of was doing. So I'm going to bring in another circle. This time I will scale it down, rotate X90, pull it out to the side. I don't need to do that, sorry. And we'll just focus on that. All right, go into edit mode. Let's look from the front. So there's my circle. So once again, I'm going to check or deselect. I'm going to bring it in a little bit. I'm going to Shift Control B and bevel, and I just want, say, 3. And this time I'm going to split these. Shift Control B, I'm going to split them into 2 to flatten them out like that. And we could try that. So like before though, I will take these ones and pull them out as a pointer. And we'll just do the same thing. extrude out, scale down a bit, extrude in, and then turn that into a circle, come in a ways, down, E, and add a face. Same thing here, E and S, convert that into a circle. Did I not do that? Bring it in closer and extrude up. And then we'll select it. Generally, we calculate outside, bevel. Add a couple. Bevel. Grab these and bevel. See what that one's like. Okay, we can try weighted normal, and normal's auto smooth. And that'll generally help. Let's just make sure that. Let's bring it back and compare. I'll get the size later on. So very similar, but I think I'm going to prefer this one. So this one is going. And I'm going to just focus on this part now. You can put other edge loops in if you feel you need to. I'm going to, let's see. Let's bring the 3D cursor right here. And I'll bring in another circle. Rotate X90. Okay, and the way this one is going to go is that's the post that goes in. Not that you'll ever see that. We'll come out a ways, E and S. Come out like that. Let's see how far I want to come out. I'm not sure. Do I want it all the way? I don't know. Well, we can adjust this. I'm going to come up. I'm going to come out. I'm going to come down. I'm going to sprawl it. And I'm going to come down one more like that. No, that's not right. It's got to be smaller than that. Okay. Scale shift. What is it? Which way? Scale shift Y. Yeah, okay. More like that. Is that right? Okay. And we'll bring you out. And I'll just make this part wider. Yeah. All right. Okay. Let's scale shift Y on that. And that piece is the one that's going to go in. So let's make it a bit longer. So like that kind of thing. And let me better bevel these so we can actually see the edges, and then flip things around like that. We'll bring an edge down there. We'll shade smooth. Let's go in. This one's actually probably going to have a subdivision on it. Let's just focus Shift H just on that, and I'll just fix this up. And then it should look nice enough to use. We're never going to see that, but whatever. Oop. Alt H, bring everybody back. And yeah, that guy and this guy, let's bring them out. Okay. What I'll do when I texture this is I'll put a black plasticky kind of material on the knob itself, white here, and I'll put like a white dot there. Okay, so let's take this and bring it in, both of them preferably, and then I will be joining that, and then let's just look at the size of these and the position. So this is what I've created here. All right, so there's two of them here, and then they go up, and they don't even really look like they're in a straight line, but they're almost at the top and almost at the bottom. So let's do that. Let's have a look at this and decide. I do like it, and I think I'm going to keep it. So I'm going to just apply that, and I'm going to just join those, and don't worry about the shading right now. Okay. Scale it down a little, bring it up. And you know, you can go in and say, you know what, I do not need this many edge loops. You know, you can dissolve some and still, you know, maintain the smoothness from the subdivision surface. So I might look at that, but I'm not sure here. Do I want to use an array on this? There's something I have to tell you soon about what I'm going to be doing. A little bit of a different thing. Let's say, what if I had 3 like that, in that kind of position, and then I just copy one over. It doesn't really matter exactly where I put these because I'm not going to use them as is, as you'll see in a bit. And then of course I can rotate in the Y, you know, and I could take this one. I don't have to take the whole thing really, but I can rotate that in the Y, and you know, you can do stuff like that. And then, you know, I can add that stuff back on if I need to, you know, for shading purposes. Let me have a look at everybody here. Oh, okay. Good. Just before we go, let's do this. Let's hide that. All right, so this is what we're coming up with. And what I'm going to be doing in the next video is I'll come up with something for up there, this thing, although it really just looks like texture, not modeled. And what I'll be doing is I want these buttons here for their placement so that I can create UV map, bring it into Substance Painter, and then I know where the buttons are. I'll have them on a second layer, by the way, this time. And I can then do the indent holes like I showed you in the last video. But I'm not going to use the buttons and the device all together in one UV map because I want to put a little bit more detail on some of these. I might even have to change the shape of this one a little bit in order to do what I'm thinking of. But we'll see. But I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to UV unwrap some of these buttons separately. So, and put them all together in Blender. So you'll see what I'm getting at later. So we'll start the texturing in the next video. So that's going to be it for now. Thanks for watching, and hope you'll tune in to the next part.